who are the potential dark horse teams for the 2023 Asian Cup? Well, that is exactly what I'm going to be answering in this video. I have created a list of 5 potential dark horses for this tournament ranked in order of spiciness. And this list was compiled after hours of intense research, so if you guys could leave a like on the video, that'd be much appreciated. I mean, for God's sake, I gotta drink a pre-workout while I record this. That's how much energy I put into compiling this list. And also hit subscribe so you don't miss the ridiculous amount of content that we have dropping on the channel. I will probably have several more videos leading up to the tournament, as well as daily live streams for the top games, at least as many as I can do. And lastly, I want to remind you guys about the Asian Cup bracket challenge that we're doing here on Deadball TV. Basically, the person that submits the most accurate group stage bracket to me, I will buy whatever Asian jersey you want. By the time this video is out, the rules for submitting this bracket will be pinned to our Twitter profile, which you can find in the description of this video. Without further ado, let's get into the dark horses. Now remember, this is ranked in order of spiciness, okay? So we're starting number 5, the 5th most likely dark horse at the Asian Cup. And this one's pretty spicy. I got Tajikistan. You know how we talk about the new manager bounce? Well, sometimes, very rarely, there's something called a new tournament bounce, where a team like Madagascar at the 2019 AFCON, who had never been to the tournament before, somehow wander their way into the quarterfinals. Now, I'm not saying Tajikistan are going to do this just because of a Cinderella story that I'm trying to peddle. I actually think this team and their circumstance, more importantly, is favorable to a potential dark horse run. Tajikistan are coming into the tournament on decent form, not great. They got 3 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses in 2023. And really, the only bad result they had this year was a loss to Kuwait. And I got nothing to say about that. That's a horrible result because Kuwait are finished. The biggest sole reason that I like Tajikistan as a potential dark horse is the group that they got, because it is trash. I know Qatar are the host, and I know they won in 2019. Guys, that was a long time ago. A lot of things have changed. Their managers now with Ecuador, and this team is completely exhausted from being in the international spotlight for the last 4 years and then flopping. They got China's the pot too, who just lost to Hong Kong this morning. They got bodied at home by South Korea, and they barely squeaked by a result against Thailand. And the 4th team in this group is Lebanon, and if you guys saw my Asian Cup prediction video, I think this team is cooked. They've literally just gotten worse the last 5 years. So it's not that Tajikistan are a world beater or they have some golden talisman who's just a baller. Really, their group is just straight mid. And also Tajikistan's manager, Peter Zerk, who I believe is Croatian, but I could be wrong. It's not like this guy's a world-class manager or he's going to replace Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, okay? But he has taken 2 different teams to the SAF Championship, and that might not be super impressive if those 2 teams weren't the Maldives and Afghanistan. In fact, he even won the SAF with the Maldives and beat India in the final. So India just stays down bad. The majority of their players seem to play at Istiklal Dushanbe, but ain't nobody going to be laughing when they make the round of 16. Unfortunately, that is where I see Tajikistan's Asian Cup ending, unless they get a gift from God of an opponent in the round of 16. Like somehow, I don't even know, like Malaysia squeaks in there, or like a Hong Kong. I don't even, and that probably ain't even possible, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. You guys let me know though, would you have Tajikistan in your top 5? At number 4, I've gone with Bahrain. And this one was painful to me because I really don't rate these lads individually, but I do think as a team, they're pretty cohesive. They're one of those golf teams where they're just really annoying to play against. They're low-scoring games. They've made it out of the group stage at the Asian Cup before, so they'll be feeling a bit confident that they've been there, done that. And again, similar to Tajikistan, it's not like Bahrain's group is incredible. I think they have the players and play style and the manager, who I'll get to in a second, to lose to Korea in a respectable 2-0 or something like that. The game against Jordan is going to be a derby, and I think that will be an intense game, but Jordan have won like 1 game in the last 12 months. And then there's Malaysia, who you guys know I'm pretty bullish on. I do think the Malays could go through as one of those best 3rd place teams, but you never know. Their defense is not great. They do leak a lot of goals, and that is not something you need in a tournament. And Bahrain do have some individual talent as well. Okay, they do have a couple ballers on the team. I was impressed with Ali Madan and Mohamed Marhoun when I did watch them play, and I do think that combination of a stingy defense plus talented wingers playing counterattacking football could result in the round of 16 or better if they get a favorable draw. And the last thing that I really like about Bahrain, honestly, is that Juan Antonio Pizzi is their manager. And if you guys don't know who that is, he's the guy that won the Copa America in 2016 with Chile. He then made it to the Confederations Cup final the following year before losing to Germany. So this manager has, at least in the past, demonstrated the ability to have a team play greater than the sum of their parts. And that's kind of what I'm looking for when I want to declare somebody as a dark dark horse. Like, I need to see a manager take a team that ain't that good and make them look good. And I'm not saying Chile weren't good, but they certainly weren't favorites for the 2016 Copa America. Could PAKTLI work his magic again with Bahrain? I don't know. Time will tell. You guys let me know in the comments. So that was 5 and 4. Those were the spicier ones, all right? But now we're getting into number 3. This one's a bit safer. United Arab Emirates. This is a team that has made back-to-back semifinals in 2015 and 2019. And they've taken down some pretty big opponents on the way. They beat Japan in 2015 and Australia in 2019. So they have very recent demonstrated success taking down Asian giants, right? This isn't an example where I have to go back to like 1974 to talk about an upset. Like, this just happened at the last 2 editions. Also, UAE have this weird thing where they either get eliminated in the group stage or they make the semifinals. Like, these guys cannot finish anywhere else for some reason. They recently appointed Paulo Bento after he concluded his time with Korea, and he's gone 5 for 5 with them, which some people I've seen hype up a little bit. Like, they've been beating trash teams, honestly, so I don't really care. But I do think Bento, with his large amount of international experience, both in Europe and now Asia as well, I think if nothing else, he'll bring stability to this team. When I watch the UAE play, or when I just look at the guys that they have available on the roster, this is a very balanced team. They got some beasts in the midfield, very, very good wide players, both at the fullback position and the wingers, and of course Ali Makbout, who is damn near got 100 goals for the national team. He's getting up there in age. He is 33. This will likely be his last Asian Cup, but still, 33 is not too old to have a massive impact. And I believe the guy had 5 goals at the last Asian Cup or something, so he's the truth. Him and Almoez Ali just go off at the Asian Cup for no reason that I can explain. Now, my personal prediction for the UAE is they will go out in the quarterfinals, but who knows? If I'm wrong and they just win one more game, they're back in the semifinals somehow. So y'all let me know what you think about the UAE as number 3. Next, we have my second ranked potential dark horse at the Asian Cup, and that is Uzbekistan. And I'm not just saying this because y'all think I'm an Uzbek. I'm saying this because this team is legit. In fact, I seriously debated putting them as the number 1 dark horse, but when I found out that Eldar Shomurodov was going to miss the Asian Cup, and the guy's a captain, and I want to say he's their top goal scorer all time, that's a big loss. And so I still think that a quarterfinals, semifinals is definitely doable for these guys, but it did just get more difficult. And once you start going against those big dog Asian teams, this is a game of margins. And losing Shomurodov, that could be the difference right there. But enough of the negatives. Let's get into the positives and why I love these guys. I was looking at their record in 2023. 7 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Those losses are against Iran and the United States, so not bad teams to lose against. But then I zoomed out a little bit and I realized these guys have lost 3 games since the start of 2022. 3 losses in 2 years is not too shabby. Like I said, Shomurodov is going to be a big miss. There's no other way to say it, but this team still has plenty of individual talent. My favorite player, who I think is crazy underrated, Otabek Shukurov. This dude is a stud, man. He absolutely cooked Mexico. I was shocked how good this man was. And as I continue to watch the Uzbeks more and more, this guy continues to ball out every single game. And this might not mean a lot to some, but when I was looking at the starting 11 too, I feel like damn near everybody in this team is like 27 years old, which is the exact age that you want for a tournament like this. They have the capacity to play 3 games in 12 days, and that's okay because their star player isn't 37. Now, the Uzbeks did get Australia in their group, but they also got Syria and India, and I feel like they're just going to wipe the floor with those latter 2 teams. And I said it in my predictions video, I think first place in this group will come down to goal differential because I don't think they will lose against the Socceroos in the group stage. Now, one of the problems that I've seen with Uzbekistan is they tend to concede goals, right? I mean, they conceded 2 against Iran recently. They conceded 1 against Turkmenistan. Mexico, we scored 3 against them. The United States scored 3 against them. Defensively, this is not a very solid team. They are going to rely on outscoring their opponents, right? And I'm predicting at least one big scoreline at this Asian Cup, like a 4-2, 5-2, something like that. It's amazing football to watch. Like, guys, if you have the time to watch every single Uzbekistan game, I don't care if it's against India or whoever else, you need to sit down and do it because these guys play beautiful football. But defense is particularly important, especially in the knockouts, and these guys haven't really demonstrated they can lock it down like that. But the biggest question with Uzbekistan is the same one that they've been facing this entire century, which is, are they good enough to beat the big boys? Because it seems like when they come up against those elite teams in Asia and outside of the continent, it's not like they get bodied, it's not like they get ran over. They can often hold their own, but they very rarely win. Like, I had to dust off the ancient scrolls and try to look at some big statement wins that the White Wolves have had recently, and I guess you could say Oman 3-0 was a big deal at the Kafa, Cameroon 2-0 in a friendly, but that's pretty much it. Outside of that, it's pretty much the Mexico and Iran draw that they have to hang their hat on. So I love love Uzbekistan. I really do hope that these guys make a semifinal. I think that'd be amazing. I think they deserve a lot more love and attention than they get. They don't make World Cups. That's always been a big problem, but I'm rooting for these guys. Little fun fact here, the only time that Uzbekistan have made it past the quarterfinals when they finished 4th was at the 2011 Asian Cup. And do you guys know who hosted the tournament that year? That's right, it was Qatar. Uzbeks back on top, baby. Semifinals, here we come. And lastly, we have my number one dark horse for the Asian Cup, and that is the Iraqi national team. These dudes, similar to Uzbekistan, they don't make World Cups, right? They don't get that international exposure. Whenever anybody talks about Iraq, it's the American invasion of their country, right? Nobody talks about the football team. But these guys, whenever they play against Asian opposition, dogs. Even if you polled 100 Japanese diehard fans, I don't really think any of them wanted Iraq in their group. I said it when the draw came out. They are the strongest Pot 2 team in my opinion. Let's just look at Iraq's performance at recent Asian Cups, because this is crazy. 2007, they obviously won the tournament when they were going into it as the 9th ranked Asian team. Quarterfinals in 2011, 4th in 2015, and round of 16 in 2019. So the group stage is just respectfully kind of beneath this team at this point. I do think they will be looking for another semifinal appearance, especially if they get a favorable draw. Looking at Iraq's record in 2023, 6 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses. And those 2 losses were against Russia and Colombia. And those are 2 teams that would wipe the floor with a good portion of the Asian continent. They also won the Gulf Cup in 2023. They beat Oman 3-2 in the final, and that might not be the biggest deal to the outside world, but let's not underestimate the value of winning silverware as a team and the belief that instills. And that's another big reason I went with Iraq over Uzbekistan for my number one favorites. It's not just because Shomurodov went down. It's because Iraq can look at the trophy shelf and they can say, dang, we have won this before. Uzbekistan are like, maybe we can get 4th again. Like, there's levels to this. Once you've done it and you have proof of concept, you are more confident in your ability to do it again. And the fact that Iraq haven't been grouped at the Asian Cup since 1972, like, these boys ain't afraid. This team is spearheaded by Ayman Hussein, who I swear on my life, I thought this man was like 33, 34. He's 27. The man is a gifted goal scorer, but I would love to send him some of my Korean skincare because I think he could use it. Ali Al-Hamadi is also a baller on this team. They got Zidane Iqbal, who I think he's largely like an unproven player, but very, very exciting to be called up to the Iraqi national team. And who knows? He's actually one of the players I'm most excited to watch at this Asian Cup. Even Ibrahim Bayesh is pretty good. Really like Iraq's front 4, if you want to call them that. It's a scary team. And y'all know I love Ali Jassim as well. I know he's a youngin'. I know he's a lot of potential at this point, but still another player I'm very, very excited to see. Iraq also has Jesus Casas as their manager, and this guy is the real deal. Is Jesus Casas a top 5 manager at the Asian Cup? You guys let me know in the comments, because I've wrestled with this question inside my own head, but I haven't really come to a conclusion just yet. If not top 5, where would you put him? Now, the downside with Iraq is I think compared to some teams that they've had in the past, I don't know if they're quite as good. And I think a portion of that is just overall, they're pretty young. Like, I think a semifinal for Iraq at this point in time would have them, quote, ahead of schedule in terms of this team's progression. Make no mistake, this team wants to make it to the next World Cup, and I think that they will, but I don't think a quarterfinals exit would be disastrous, you could say. I had this written down as a positive. They've won 3 of their last 4 penalty shootouts, which you guys know in knockout football, that is extremely important. Unfortunately, those were against Jordan, India, and Thailand. So those are 3 pretty mid to bad national teams that Iraq has failed to beat, at least in regular time. And I might contradict myself a little bit here with the Jesus Casas stuff, because on one hand, I think he has Iraq playing a more possession, high-pressing style of football, which I think is very exciting. On the downside, though, that means they're more susceptible to counterattacks. Like when they play Japan, are they going to try and press the Japanese? Because if they do, I think they get punished. But we'll see. Obviously, Casas is comfortable implementing that style with this team and these current players. Let's see if it pays off. And that is the video, guys. Those are my potential dark horses for the Asian Cup, ranked in order. You guys let me know what you think about this down below in the comments. Like I said, make sure you check out the Asian Cup Bracket Challenge. Check us out on Twitter, link in the description of this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more Asian footy content, and I'll see y'all in the next one.